All right. So one of the first things that we want to do is celebrate the success and maintaining the progress. Now, I have a really great analogy I'm going to get into in a minute, but maintaining can be actually easier. I think a lot of times in the past, from actually almost all the time in the past for me, it's been very, very difficult to maintain. I could always go in with a ton of motivation, get started, say it's January's New Year's thing, and I go and I'm run hot, but then eventually it gets old, it gets boring, and it can be hard. But I think that maintaining it can be actually easier. All right, so the today is all a lot about looking back. You know, we're going to be looking forward tomorrow and talking about the maintenance tomorrow in the next lesson. But reflection is really important. It's a lot about what gets measured gets managed, right? So we want to be looking back and reflecting on the progress that we've made. Like, did you celebrate early? Did you have anything that was like a helpful celebration, or was there any that hurt? You know, can you celebrate in a healthy way? And you know, did you go into the group and reflect with the group, see where they were at? What was the things that were coming up with them? And just full on embrace the idea of let's let's look at everything so far. What is going on? Where are we at? Measure out, like, okay, maybe I'm behind schedule, maybe I failed for 3 weeks and I have to start over, or at least adapt as if it's a start over. And actually, I'm going to pause for a second here and say, I wouldn't recommend starting over. I would say finish the fourth week, even if you weren't doing good, because the lessons are still going to be applicable to if you do this all over again after this week. So stick to it and just ride it out, even if you've been failing for 3 weeks straight. It's fine. But you want to think about everything of where you're at and just be like, okay, here's my new starting point. Don't be emotional about it exactly, and just be like, okay, here we go. And then we're going to think about like strategies, right? So assess your effectiveness of your strategies. So if we use that chewing on cinnamon sticks when I was quitting smoking, that worked for me. That worked a lot of the times, not every time, but did it have enough ROI for me to keep buying them and do that? And I would have to say yes. So I would be like, okay, that works. And then I have my minimalist toolbox of things that worked, and I got to double down on them. I always had supply of that, and I knew exactly where to go. Now, let's say take with smoking. Like maybe I didn't quit in 28 days, sure. But the next 28 days I would try to quit. Okay, maybe not, but I got better with what tools worked. And it was through discovery that I grew and really found out what worked for me. So, you get better as you try. Just because you failed and you didn't complete it doesn't mean that you were a failure or anything like that. It just basically means that your workflow it wasn't perfect for your situation. It wasn't working enough. So the only way you can get to one that works, if the one that you were trying didn't work, is to, evaluate and really like talk to other people, go into the group, and, when you did have successes or see what succeeded with others, then you can find out a little bit more. For instance, for me, with the quitting smoking, I use Alan Carr's Easy Way to Quit Smoking. And I learned that through a friend, actually. So once I learned that, then that was kind of the thing that did it for me. So for instance, with that, you want to set new goals and adjust as needed, and make them measurable. So for instance, now you know where you're at in this reflection. You go, okay, yeah, I didn't do good for 2 weeks, but last week was fine. And now I think I know where I'm at, and then you can start making these SMART goals, which we talked about before. But this time around in week 4 is that you have a measurement where you may not have had before. And now you can say, okay, this is a reasonable distance that I've made in this many days up to week 4. What can you do again? And what kind of measurable things? Because maybe 28 days is just your measuring cup, but you may need more than one measuring cup, like to kick the habit. So you want to think about it that way. It's like, this is all about focusing for these next couple days on just where are you at, what worked, what didn't work, and making that SMART goals, and then start rewarding yourself as at this point you have some targets to go, and you should be able to making progress. So you want to be able to reward that progress, and then send it to the group for feedback and improvement, and then again, talk to people. Really, really dial down where you're at and don't compare. That's the trick that I fall into too. Even though I don't care about other people, what they do, I still compare and I use that as a barometer for myself. And that's a terrible thing to do. But I do it. And I'm aware of that because I took a step like this. I'm like, okay, yeah, I do reflect on myself and use others as a indicator of where I'm at. But that's not true. And I fight with that all the time. So I have to have like a little post-it note and it says, don't compare. And that's kind of where this one ends. It's a small, short episode because honestly, it's all about just focusing on where you're at. And again, like I always say, if you're looking for extra help, I'm here for you. Until next time, cheers.